Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have you guys here. My name is Katie McGilvery. I'm the founder and creator of the Savvy Mompreneur Consulting Co. We just launched in December, and this is something that has been on my heart for a long time. We were known as, we being me, mouse in my pocket, we're known as the She Believes brand company, and I loved it. It was a great vision that I had, but I felt like this past year God really challenged me to shift into more of a space that embraced what he was calling me to do. Because not only do I believe in his promises, but I also believe in the mission behind empowering women to walk in his purpose and walk in his plan for their lives. And that very much has become, juggling motherhood and also juggling this full-time business that has blessed many lives, has blessed our lives, that has this uncapped potential to unleash so many things this year. And we were doing number projections and all the different stuff that we have going on, and it's the ticket that could unlock a financial blessing for our family, that could get us out of the oil field, that could absolutely change everything for us. And my job is to be a good steward of that and to pay that forward. And so I want to share over the last 8 years what it has come to that led me to wanting to share this with you guys, because there have been a lot of ups and downs. There have been a lot of trials, a lot of doing it wrong, to get where I am now, to get to where it's not perfect. Every day is messy. I literally had to change my shirt 5 minutes ago because I was making banana muffins for breakfast tomorrow, and I had flour all over my shirt. And then I realized, like, my mascara is smeared. There's nothing perfect about this. My life, if you all know me in real life, it is very chaotic. I have 3 small kids. My husband works long hours. We live in the middle of nowhere, which most of you do too. And it's just this beautiful, messy, full life. And instead of running from that, instead of trying to hide it and tuck it out of Instagram pictures, I've got to this place where it's like, I want to teach other women how to embrace what it is that God is doing in their life, and how to create a bigger vision for that, how to take what it is that they're experiencing in every single day life and make something from it, and not just start a side hustle or start a business, but to be profitable in the marketplace, to be profitable with the dreams that God's put in your heart, to take the vision and put some action behind it, put some prayer behind it, get some accountability, and actually go forth and do something with it that changes other people's lives. Because at the end of the day, our visions are about more than ourselves. Because if you're like me, yeah, self-care is on there. Yeah, I want to pay off some debt. I want to be able to go into Target and, spend $300, or, well, not necessarily Target, Costco. I want to go to Costco and spend $500 without feeling guilty about, just walking into Costco. But it's not just about that. It's about so much more. I want to help other people experience the freedom that it is to be able to call the shots in your life. We've been in the oil field for going on 10 years, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to have your life and your future in the hands of someone else, and basically a pissing contest between politicians and world powers. Like, that's a lot to live with whenever you are trying to raise a family, when you're trying to build something for the future. Like, and now more than ever, we experienced this in the last couple of years. It is so important to be able to create something that you have control over, that you have the ability to be the owner of, so that no one can come and take it. Like, so that you have the sole power to say when it works, when it doesn't work, when it rests, when it doesn't rest, when it's profitable, or when we're pulling back a little bit and we're changing things. And that's what I want to teach you tonight. This is not just about business. I know some of you came on here for the business side of things, and this applies to any area of life. Your vision has to include more than a business. It has to include more than finances. It has to include, it has to be a whole approach to changing your life. Marriage, if you're married, family, parenting, finances, personal well-being, spiritual well-being, mental well-being, the things that you're saying yes to. It needs to each have this own vision of its own, so that you are taking a whole approach to it versus just kind of, hitting things here and there and guessing at what it's going to be. I've done this for years, and I've always thought, vision boards are stupid. They're so dumb. They don't actually work. One of my goals last year was to hit $50,000 in my Isogenics business. And I really didn't lot of attention to it. I kind of did it here. I ran here, took time here. I looked at my statement yesterday when I was crafting my vision for how I'm going to do 2 businesses and be at home, and I hit $50,028. And that was by happen chance. That was not intentionally focusing on it. So imagine if you took something like having a more intentional marriage and you put some real thought behind it and you gave yourself action steps for how you were going to love your spouse better, or parenting and being a calm mama, which is really my thing this year. I want to be so much more patient with my children than I am. I want to be focused and present with them, because a lot of days at bedtime, it feels like I'm escaping, like I'm just trying to get them in bed so I can run away. This has been a long day, and I want to figure out how to preserve myself throughout the day so that when we get to bedtime, if Daddy's not home because he may have to work a late shift, I still have a little bit of energy left to get them in bed. And not every day is perfect. I want to tell you that before we go into this. When you make this, there will be a lot of life that happens. The moment that you set your intentions for growth or for change or for shifting something that may be good, but you want it to be great, life will hit you in the face. It happens every single time. There is literally not a time that I've declared I wanted to do something, and I openly declare all the time that I'm going to be a speaker and I'm going to teach women, thousands of women, how to be profitable, how to lead God-centered lives, how to have priorities, but still hustle after your dreams without sacrificing your family. I talk about this all the time. I have for the last almost 10 years. Nobody's asked me to speak on a stage yet, but I'm declaring it. I'm seeing it before I see it. But what happens the moment that I decide that I'm going to do something, there's always something in the opposite direction that comes at me. And so I want you to be mindful of this. And when it happens, be like, oh, wait, she told me this would happen. I got this. I'm good with this. I'm prepared for this. Like, let's go. Okay. So with all of that preface, took a whole 7 minutes. I want you to understand that the reason that we have the desires that we have, the reasons that we have these dreams that we have that feel like they're super far off because our life doesn't look like that right now, that is meant for us to reach out in faith and grab it. God is looking for people who are willing to reach out in faith and trust his plan and his promises and believe that if he gave you that dream, he is going to help you see it through to fruition. He wants nothing more than to bless your life. But it's not going to be easy, because if it was easy, we wouldn't need God. We as humans are infallible and we decide that we can do it on our own. How many of us have made a plan without God's help and we've done it our own? And then, we can all raise hands there. So nothing is off the table, but I really want you to be intentional about the things that you write down. Be intentional about the things that you say, because what you speak, you're accountable for. So if you say, I want to be intentional about the growth of my marriage this year, which I do. I want more date nights. I want more one-on-one time. I want, to have date nights with our kids, to spend intentional time with our kids and not be so wrapped up in our work schedules that we don't make time for that. And we are configuring our schedules to be around that. So let's dive in. If you have, and if you don't, I'll put it on the screen really quick. Here it is. Okay, can everybody see this? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, okay. All right. So you should have gotten this before we started. If you didn't, I'll email it to you right after. In your ideal life, we're talking ideal circumstances, ideal life. What are you doing? What are you doing for work? If you're not working, are you home? What does your day look like from the time you wake up until you go to bed? What are the fun things that are in your day? What does it feel like to be you? What are some of the things that you just truly are grateful for and enjoy about your life? Where are you living? Who is with you in this vision? Who's with you there? And I think about this when I started really trying to craft this. My husband and I feel called to move back to our home state eventually. Don't know when that's going to be, but we start talking about this a lot. And I said there was a time when we were looking for a house that I envisioned him in the back. We had this big wraparound porch back. We were having coffee in the morning, and then he walked down to the pond and he, having his moment with the Lord. And I was like, I want that for my life. I want to be able to have time with you during the day. I want you to have your own thing, but I also want to be able to have slow mornings where we're in control of our day and we're not rushing to other people's demands. That was really important to me. I wanted to have time in our day to sit and talk about the things that we were doing and talk about our kids and to just have a time for us to have peace. One of my girls, I know this is like crazy, but I want to homeschool my kids. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I feel really called to do it. It's actually on my vision board for this year. I truly don't know how I will do it, but it's something that I want to do because I feel like a lot of the things that we struggle with in our kids right now can be controlled if we can just teach them the way that they need to be taught. And not everyone's called to that, but that is something that I see. Having the ability to take them, to the science museum in the middle of the day, or to, go visit the dentist office and learn about how dentists become dentists and like what they do. Things like that. Get fun with it. Things that would make your day exciting and fun and relaxing and just bring you joy. Maybe that's going to the grocery store by yourself. Maybe it's going shopping and spending $1,000. Like if your day is super frivolous, what does it look like? Maybe it's flea markets. I love flea markets. But like going and spending the day and not having to rush through things. Being able to just take the middle of the week, a Tuesday, and go to a flea market and just like buy all the vintage crap. How are you spending your money? Are you a generous spender? Are you smart with your money? Are you investing? Are you giving? Are you, debt free? One of my statements is I am debt free so I can be generous. I have a very wealthy and generous heart. I'm just waiting for my bank account to catch up. But that's in my vision, is like have more money so I can give more money. And it's not like a question about where our money is going, but knowing where it was spent. What does wealth and abundance look like to you? So if you were raised in a household where money was a struggle, money doesn't grow on trees, money, like we can't buy that, we don't have the money for it. If you heard these things as a kid, a lot of times you bring that into adulthood. And so that kind of reflects on how you live your life a lot of times. And for me, it did. I had a poor money blueprint because I grew up poor. And my husband makes a good living now. And so it was just always this feast and famine kind of mindset. But what I've learned is money is just a tool. Can't take it with us when we die. It's a tool though, and it's a tool that can make our lives better. It's a tool that can make other people around us, their lives better. It's a tool that can bless the world if we use it for what it's intended for. So really think about that. What does wealth look like? What does abundance look like to you? Abundance to me is not having a bunch of stuff. I spent largely most of today getting rid of a lot of stuff, like 12 bags worth of just clutter that we had, clothes, toys, things that we didn't use, broken McDonald's toys. Why is that still a thing? But abundance looks like for me, having margin in my life, having control over my schedule, having the ability to say yes or no to what comes in my house, and in a way that it doesn't stress me out. Like abundance is that, but being able to give that to other people too. Where have you always dreamed of going? I have always dreamed of going to Greece. I want to go to Greece. I want to travel. I don't want to travel right now. Florida, I'll settle for Florida. But, where have you always dreamed of going? What is one place that you've wanted to visit your entire life? I've lived in North Dakota for 5 years, and I have still never actually been to Yellowstone National Park. Like, it's got to happen this summer. I don't necessarily want to see a bear, but I would like to go. So it's on our board. What moment have you always dreamed of living? If you know me, you know of the hot romper story, but one of my things that I've learned over the last couple of years of working with some other speakers is like every speaker wears a romper on stage. I don't know why that is, but they all wear rompers and they all wear wedges. And that is my goal, is to find this amazing romper and then have my first speaking event and actually get to wear it. That is a moment that I dreamt of living, not just because it would be, fun, but because like that is a representation of, okay, I've done it. I've done the thing. I'm speaking in front of people. Even though I speak in front of people on Facebook all the time. Let's see. What would I do for others if I won the lottery? This one's always fun. And you can put in a comment what you would do in any of these instances. I'd love to hear your responses. But what would you do for others if you won the lottery? A couple of years back, I thought I would buy my parents a house. I would buy them a house, and I would make sure that their retirement is taken care of, that they didn't have to worry about anything. I would donate to a couple of the organizations that I sponsor already. I put them away for my kids' college. Like, I would do that. And at the end of the day, I would probably have none left for me because that's just kind of how I think. So I'm not going to sit and we're not going to do this whole part of it. I want you to do this part, but I want you to sit with your thoughts. I know it's kind of hard when you're rushed to do the actual like vision side of this, but what I'm asking you to do is whenever we get off this, I know it's kind of late already, take some time, sometime this week, put your favorite song on, put it on repeat, find a quiet place, and make yourself sit and do this. Take time to go through these questions. Take time to just really ask yourself, if I could do, be, or have anything, what would it be and why? Who would I become and why? What about my life would look different and why? And the why is the most important part because the why is what drives the vision most of the time. The why is what keeps you tied to this dream because there's something so much more that is to come. But we have to get to the why. And if it seems like a simple answer, you have to keep asking why until you reach the very, very, very center of what it is that you're trying to ask yourself. I know it's a little woo-woo, but I promise it works. And if you can get to that point, your vision becomes so clear. And then it's like, holy wow, watch out. So this is a part that we will do right now. So if you have this, if you have a pen and paper, you don't necessarily have to have the workbook, but I want you to think about what went really well in 2021. I did this yesterday, and I'm a writer, so I write a lot. But this is this is my stack of what I reflected on, what the plan was. Like, it's a lot of paper, it's a lot of writing. But what was something you did really well in 2021? What is something that when you look back, you're like, I'm so proud of myself for that. I am really proud of the fact that I committed to that, or I did that, or I accomplished this, or maybe it was something you paid off. Maybe it was something that you gave up. Maybe it was something that you started, a new habit that you created. Maybe it was some relationships that you let go of. That was one for me. I had to let go of some more toxic relationships, and it was hard. It was a struggle. I created a new routine for myself. I realized that I need to take more time to just breathe and relax and be in control of my schedule. So what is something that you did really well in 2021? What goal or goals did you set at the beginning of 2021? And if you didn't set goals in 2021, that's totally okay. Oh, yay, congrats, Michelle, that's awesome. What goals did you set at the beginning of 2021? And what, if you didn't achieve them, why or why not? If you did accomplish them, why? What was so great about accomplishing them? What did it mean to you to accomplish them? Would music help? I don't know if it would help to have it in the background. Sometimes it does. All right. So I just told y'all one of the goals that I accomplished. One of the things I did not accomplish was having regular date nights. That was something that I scheduled. I wanted to accomplish last year, and I think maybe we had 4 or 5 the entire year. Not really accomplishing much there, but we have made a plan for that this year. What is something that could have gone better? And I will say there's always things that could have gone better, but what is something profoundly that sticks out to you that could have gone better? So last year I joined a partnership for my coaching business, and we were ready to launch. Everything was good to go. Then a week before we launched, our course crashed, and the girl that I was doing it with backed out. So it could have gone better, but there was lessons learned there. What word would you use to describe your year? It can be any word that you want. And once you figure out your word, share it in the comments. The last question is, what did you learn most over the last year? About yourself, about others, about your boundaries, about your intentions, about your follow through. What I learned last year is that one of the things that irritates me most about people is usually something that I'm struggling with as well. And that was a hard lesson to learn. Good word. I'm going to give y'all just another minute and then we're going to move on to figuring out your words for this year. Love it. Building. That's a good one, Brittany. I like all these. So when we think about our words are not just a center of focus. Our words are something that help guide us in the direction that we're going. So one of my things on my board, if I hadn't just taped it to my wall, I'd bring it over here, but I'll send y'all a picture when it's done. Everything goes back to being chosen and to being intentional and to being thoughtful and to being present. And I thought about all these things and I was like, okay, God, give me a word that just encompasses all the things that I'm trying to work on this year, that I want to see happen, that I want to move forward with. And I was in church this morning and I was listening to a worship song and I just heard thoughtful. And I was like, thoughtful. I want to be more thoughtful. I want to take a pause before I speak. I want to take a pause before I react to my children. I want to take more deep breaths and be thoughtful before I respond to my spouse. I want to be thoughtful about the decisions that I make, my yeses, where I give my yeses, the people I let in to my life, the people who, I give my time to. And that's my word for this year is thoughtful. I want to be more thoughtful, not lacking action, but more thoughtful before I act, so that I'm not leaping first, which is my nature, to leap first and then figure it out later. I want to be more thoughtful about the impact that my yeses will have on other places in my life. So I'm going to turn this song up, give you a couple of minutes, and then you can share your word for this year. If you have it, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. This is something to really think about and just, give yourself some time for it to come up. Just because it's the first week of January does not mean we have to have this all figured out yet. limit. So one of the things I read the other day was, sometimes we need a word for the year. Sometimes we need like a war cry. Sometimes it already feels like life is kind of heavy and we're trying to figure out like what this year is going to be like on the following up last year, and it can just be kind of heavy. So it could be a word or it could be a war cry. It can be something that empowers you to just take that next step, to do that next right thing, as Elsa would say, or Anna, do the next right thing. Do the thing that is right for you, not for everyone else, but is right for you. Okay, so let's think about how many of you are starting businesses or running businesses? Let's run the room here. I don't think it's too many, but that's okay. If you are running a business, this is something that you can think about, and you can go back and you can do this. If you're planning on starting a business, or if you're thinking about something that would be a profitable idea, feel free to set up a call with me. I would love to walk through your vision for your business and strategize the things that you see for it. If you are not, that is okay too. I work with all kinds of women who are running businesses, women who are starting businesses, women who are just trying to figure out where they fit in the middle of their life. And I work only with women. I do not work with men. I might work with couples, sorry, Josh, but very rarely do I ever work with men, just because it's not my comfort zone. I'm very comfortable around women and other moms and helping take a vision that you see for yourself and make it into something so much more than just a thought in your head, but actually helping you plan and strategizing it. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do when we leave or sometime this week, I'm going to send you a Canva template. How many of you know what Canva is? Know what Canva is? No? Okay. If you don't, you can send me the pictures and I'll put them in Canva for you and help you create a vision board, because I know it can be kind of it just depends on where you're at. I love these. But I will help you create a vision board so that you have it. And let me see if I have mine. I got a whole stack of papers. So what I did before I go there, what I did after I finished this exercise was I took the things that I wrote down, and I really let myself spend time being intentional about this, because I wanted it to be something that I could read or record. I'm a very audible learner. So what I did last year was I recorded myself speaking my vision out loud. It took me about 15 minutes. I'm a wordy person. If you're not a wordy person, that's okay. But the more detail that you can give it, the more real it is in your mind, the easier it's going to be to start taking steps towards those things, to follow through with the action items, which we're about to talk about, to make it a reality in your calendar. So if you can see the things that you're doing, like my husband and I are looking for our home. It doesn't have to be a dream home, but we have a couple of things that we want, a couple of things that we need for us to be able to say, okay, yes, this is our next move. And we're not settling for things that are not this. So it's in our vision. And I gotta find it. Hold on. I took it out the whole bunch and then I lost my whole bunch. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Okay. So there is nothing that's too bougie for your dream board. I just want you to know that. It's a brand new car, it's a brand new house. There's nothing too bougie. Dream big, be specific, write a plan so then you can take it and run with it. It's in the Bible, like it's a thing. But this is, and I'll share the picture of it. I got very specific on the things that I wanted in my dream home. Now, the home that we may purchase or may move into may not be this when we get there. That's okay. But this is the vision. This is the clarity that I have around what I want. And I want you to give yourself permission to allow these things to change, because this was not on my vision board 10 years ago. This was just like a pipe dream. Like, this was not even a thing. Mostly because farmhouse was not a style. That's just how people lived. Like, Joanna Gaines was no one 10 years ago. But now it's like all anyone can see. I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom 10 years ago. I didn't want to work from home 10 years ago. I literally poo-pooed on anyone who was like, stay-at-home mom is the best thing ever. I'm like, no, I enjoy working. And I do enjoy working, but I also enjoy being home. And when we talk about what's going to happen when our kids are, fully functioning, is maybe that's why I want to homeschool, because I like staying at home. I don't know. My husband's like, when are you going to go back to work? I'm like, I'm not. Like, I'm going to be home forever. Just prepare yourself. So maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe that's God's clarity right there. But there is nothing too big for this vision board. Legitimately nothing too big. Because the thing about having a big vision is it takes a lot of God power to make it happen. And that's the point. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. It's supposed to pull you out of your comfort zone. To get this house, it's like a $1.5 million home because it's huge and it's got all the things. Now, I know some people would get done on the cheap, but like this is an expensive dream. What does it mean to have this home though? What does it represent? Because that's the most important part about this picture is not the things that are in it. And in this year's vision board, I didn't even actually put pictures of things that I wanted in there. I put words. I'm a word person to remind me. And one of them says, dare to build a life you love, the power of a home, homeschool, treat yourself, unconditional love, farewell mom guilt, thank you Jesus, healthy habits for life. Like I legit went back to the drawing board, and any of you that are local, you're welcome to come to my house. I have all of the magazines. You can cut, we'll make a vision board, it'll be awesome. But I did this for myself. No one else will look at that and be like, what does that mean? This represents my 40-acre farmhouse with a garden and chickens and a random llama. This represents homeschool and having a basement where my kids can just like go and learn and do things. And this represents that beautiful balcony that my husband and I will sit and have coffee on every single morning, where I'll do my devotional, I'll have time with the Lord, and I'll walk out into my back pasture and pet my miniature cow, and I'll, feed the ducks too, or like, that's what that represents for me. But it also represents a home that welcomes people in, that invites people who are lost to have a place to be found, to create community, to bless other people with the generosity that we have been blessed with, to help other women take the dreams that God's put in their heart and to make it something beautiful, but also something that's real, something that can come alive for their families, for generations to come. And I have good times with future generations in mind. The things that we're building right now, y'all, is not for us. It's for our children and our children's children. And there was something that was said this morning at church. What if we were the last generation on this earth? What if we were the last generation that walked this earth? How would we live our lives? That snapped my attention really quick, because I wouldn't just get through my days. I wouldn't just get through the evening. I wouldn't just survive. I would look at things a little bit differently. Now, I'm totally human, also totally a mom of 3 small kids and overstimulated most days. But I would live my life with such thoughtfulness and intentionality and care. I would take the bold risks. I would love people who are unlovable. I would do things that were unpopular because they're things that I'm called to do. I would get uncomfortable and hand my fresh warm pizza to some stranger because they're out of town and they didn't realize that you couldn't just get pizza, that you had to order it, which I had to do this weekend because I felt like that's what God called me to do, and it was a very uncomfortable moment. Also, I came home without pizza and my children were a little outraged. But like, that's how I want to live my life. And that's what this picture represents to me. That's what these words represent to me. There's one on here that says, "These small moments. This is where legacy is born. This is where legacy is born. This is where legacy is born. This is where legacy is born." It's in the way that we live our lives. It's in the way that we speak victory over the things that we've been called to cultivate in this world. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. It's okay to not know everything. Like 30 is the new 20. 50 is the new 30. There's time. But it's time under intention. And so you have to live like there's something worth living for. You have to work like there's some kind of something much more than human approval, or much more than, the minute things that we're going to gain in this world. You have to live for more and work for more and be about more, because at the end of the day, money is awesome and it does incredible things, but it will never fulfill you the way that walking in a purpose, a vision that you see, watching it come to life because you said yes to being bold about the things that you know you're supposed to do, and you're like totally uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway. Totally uncomfortable. Speaking was never my thing. I went to school to be a nurse. I don't know how many people know. I went to school to be a nurse. Speaking is not in there unless someone's asking you if you can wipe their butt or change their bedpan. Like, there's not a whole lot there where you're speaking. But I felt that nudge, and I felt like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. I don't know how, but maybe I can do this. And I've taken every opportunity to speak that has been offered to me. I have created my own opportunities to speak because I know that it's going to take time and intention, and I'm going to have to see it before I see it. And I'm going to have to sow it before I see it. This vision is about sowing it before you see it, before you see it, and seeing it before you see it. So that when it's time, you are already there. You've planted seeds. You've sowed those seeds. You've watered them. You've given them time and sunlight, and you've watched them bloom. So that when they do bloom, you're not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. You're like, I know this is happening. I'm so excited. And at that point, your vision gets bigger and it expands. And the saddest thing in this world is that some people live a life without vision. They wake up, they drink their coffee, they put their pants on, they go to work, they do their job, they come home, eat dinner, go to bed, and they repeat. And they might have a little fun on the weekend, and then they wake up on Monday morning and they do the same thing. Maybe I was just wired different, but that's not enough for me. It's not enough for me to just do something because I'm supposed to do it. To just be a stay-at-home mom because that's my job. Like, not enough for me. Not enough for me to just say that I'm going to teach a vision class. I took forever to prepare for, I'm sweating so bad. But like, it has to become something that's a little bit more. Okay, off my soapbox now. The last notes that I took are on my phone. Because sometimes when you're in the shower and inspiration hits you, you pull your phone out and then you just take notes. Okay, so let's dive into this. Excuse me while I adjust my bra strap. Okay, so let's talk about making this an actual plan. When you have your vision, when this is done, when you spend time, you reflected, you're excited, you celebrated the things you did well. So important, real quick, to celebrate the things that you do well. Do not wait till you achieve your massive goal. You will burn out way before then. Find ways to celebrate. When I sign my next 10 clients, I'm buying myself a Roomba because it will vacuum my entire house for me multiple times a day and I don't have to worry about it. And that is a gift for me. So think about something. It doesn't have to be material, but find ways to celebrate yourself. Maybe at the end of the day, you're like, you know what? I didn't yell at my kids all day, only at lunchtime because they weren't listening. Yay me, that's improvement. You have to be able to see the small victories. You have to be able to see the wins. Okay, I wanted to get up early all week. I got up 4 days this week. That's great. Be excited about those things. But let's talk about making this a reality. So when you have your vision, when you talk things over, if you're planning out something with a significant other, have the hard conversation. Talk about your finances. Talk about your family. Talk about your relationship. Talk about your friends. Talk about your spiritual growth. Talk about your personal growth. Talk about your mental growth. When I finally let my husband in on how bad I struggled with my mental health, I think he was completely surprised because I hid it really well until I didn't, until I couldn't. And so having these conversations are very uncomfortable. Financial conversations. This is the first time in almost 12 years that we had a financial conversation without me crying, cussing, or leaving the room. And that is progress. Like, I am proud of us. We set goals. I admitted I spent a lot of money last year, and I'm like, I'll do better. I'm going to move on. This is no spend January. I will show you my bank account, like whatever we got to do. Like, I'm willing to hold myself accountable. That's a huge step for me. Thank you, Jesus. But how do we make this a reality? What we know to be true is that what we put in our planner becomes our life. What we put in our calendar becomes our life. So we will schedule in PTA meetings, conferences, toddler activities, grocery pickups, kids activities, all these different things. But where do you fit into your calendar? Where does your goal for this year fit into your calendar? Because if it's not on the calendar 9 times out of 10, it is not going to happen. And whether you use a paper calendar or you use a digital calendar, something with reminders, which I do both, whichever one you use is the one that you live by. And if you don't live by a calendar, you're blessed. All I got to say is keep doing what you're doing. But for us who struggle with time management, who struggle with fitting anything else in, I want to encourage you this year to get a planner. I have two, one for my clients, one for my personal life. Does that make sense? No, but I'm a hot mess when it comes to planners, so got to keep them separate. But a simple planner that is easy to read, there's lots of space where you can kind of make it your own, is a good one to start with. If you're kind of figuring out this whole time management thing, that's great. If you are a little bit more type A, like the other side of my personality, then we have this one that's scheduled by every hour of every day. It's got your workout, your water, your vitamins, your sleep, your meals, all the things. Like it's all the things. I like them both. I have a fine balance of both. With business, it's kind of fast and loose. With life, it's like, let's be scheduled. So whichever one fits your fancy. But I want you to think about the things that you have to do every single day, the things that you have to do. So you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to drink water, you have to, like, those are the have tos, the basic necessities of life that you have to do. If you have a job and you have to work because that's your job, then yes, you put work on there too. But I want you to think about the things that you have to do every single day. And then I want you to think about the things that you don't necessarily have to do that you do because you're willing to do them. So I don't have to do these kind of calls. Don't have to do them, not a part of what I do in my work, but it's fun and I enjoy it and I love getting to learn the people that get on here. I'm willing to be a little bit more tired in the morning because I want to do these calls. I want to help people grow. And my kids are in bed, so this is the only time I can really do it. Because other than that, there's children running in most of the time half naked, and you can't do that on camera. You just can't have it. So that is something that you also ask yourself. If it's something you are willing to do, to be uncomfortable with, to take the time to do, you can put that in there as well. But then number two, think about the things you want to do. Things that you're doing that you want to do more of. So if it's volunteering, if that's like your jam and you love volunteering, more power to you. I'm glad there are people like you. I don't. Put that on there. Gardening. These are just some ideas that I have. But gardening, working out at a certain time every single day, having more coffee time with friends, school commitments, kids after school activities. These are things that we don't have to do. These are things that we want to do. Our children do not have to be in every activity. We want them to be in activities because we want them to enjoy experiences, right? But we can say no to that. We can say, that's okay. So these are the things that you want to do. You want to play bingo on Thursday night. Awesome. I like playing bingo too. That's something I want to do. It's going to go in the schedule. I'm going to figure out a babysitter. We're going to make it work. Okay. If I want to have one weekend a month or one Saturday a month where I go for the entire day and I sit and I do nothing but create content for the day, I'm going to figure out what I need to do to make that happen. And so you can see how a plan starts to form when we put these things on our calendar and then we start to work backwards. Okay, if I want to do this thing, what do I need to do to make sure it happens? So if you want to write a book, what do you need to do to make sure it happens? Well, you need to have an outline and you need to decide what your topics are. And you need to figure out how many pages or how many words you're going to write every single day. So you just reverse engineer it. What is in your current calendar that fits right now, that you like having? So there are things about your calendar I'm sure you love, and there are things about your calendar that I'm sure you're like, I could leave it. I'd be fine if I didn't have it in there. Be totally good. So I love that I do grocery pickup every other week. I love that. It makes my life easy. I can plan meals that way. It's just a system and a routine that I enjoy. I want to keep that in there. So I'm going to make sure every 2 weeks I've got my order ready. I know what we need. I can go on Walmart, order it, pick it up. I love teaching Bible study on Wednesday night. That's a commitment that I don't have to say yes to, but I enjoy it and it's right for me in this season. So I'm going to say yes to that. Outside of that, in this year, I'm now saying no to more evening commitments. Just because bedtime's already hard enough, and if I'm rushing to try to get on a video or on a call, it's just too much, and I'm not willing to just deal with that anymore. I'm going to keep them as a priority and then fit my calls in throughout the day, and just figure it out. So the last one is things that are new that you've never had time for before. So if you have something brand new that you're working on this year, maybe you want to create habits that stick. So you want to create a new habit for your life. Maybe that's getting up earlier in the morning. Maybe that's drinking less coffee. Maybe that's going for a workout at a certain time of day. Like I said, things that you want to do, but not necessarily that you have to do. This is brand new to you. So if you have one goal this year that you really want to work on and make it a focus, then you have to put it in your calendar. So for me, that is being more financially aware of what I'm doing. So keeping track of what I'm spending in my personal life, but also keeping track in my business. Keeping track of receipts, making sure that I'm tithing on time, making sure that I am, paying things when they're due, and creating systems for that, making sure that I'm saving money. And I'm being diligent about these things. So it's a checks and balance system, but I have to set in there every Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning or whenever. I'm going to sit down with my app on my phone and I'm going to go through my spendies and I'm going to see, okay, where am I spending my money? Where am I budgeting? Where am I giving? Where do I need to stop spending money? Where do I need to turn off subscriptions? And I'm just going to make this like a running meeting that I have with myself every week. And then on Sundays, my husband and I have agreed to have our meeting over our finances. If we're trying to buy a house, we got to be smarter with our finances. We got to put money away. So this is something that we're scheduling in our calendar to have every single week. And then if we want to have date nights every other Friday or every other Saturday night, we have to schedule that in. We have to plan for it. We have to hire a sitter. These are things we have to be intentional about and make sure that we make space for them in our lives. So when you look at your ideal schedule, when you take time to do this, you will start to see the life that you want to live instead of the life that we're just living. You will start to see where you have more time, and you'll start to see shifts that are being made. You will not make all these changes overnight. Not all of these things will happen overnight. Just because it's January 1st doesn't mean you have to have the entire year figured out. I'm a strategy coach. I literally teach people how to build things from the ground up, step A to step Z. You don't have to have it all figured out to start. You simply have to start and be patient with yourself along the way. Ask questions to people who are doing things that you want to do. If you see another person who is excelling at getting up early in the morning, ask them how they did it, because everyone struggles in the beginning. If you see someone who, looks like her life is together when she's out in public with her 11 children, ask her how she does it. Is it pharmaceuticals or does she have a schedule? Like, what is happening here? Be willing to ask questions and be curious about the things that you want to change this year, because that's the best form of learning, is asking questions and then applying it and then teaching someone else. Because when you start to figure this out, it will shine. Other people will see what you're doing and then they'll ask you questions. And it's like this rinse and repeat cycle that is awesome. So over the next couple of weeks, take time to really dig into your vision, put it together, speak to other people that are involved in it, and then start to make it in your schedule. And I have some different resources that I can provide for you guys for time blocking, and I have all the resources. So if you need any of those things, I'm happy to provide them. But I want you to excel this year. I want you to feel empowered to do the things that you feel like you want to do, to buy a house, to plant a garden, to buy a llama or a mini cow, to build something incredible, to be a better mom, to be a more intentional wife, to be, a kind neighbor, to be generous hearted to people, even if it's not a donkey. I love it. To be whatever it is that you want to be. It's do, and then have. You will become that person and you will do those things. And then you will have this vision, and it will be the most beautiful thing. And you will have transformed along the way. And you will look back a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and you will not believe where you came from. I did a recap video yesterday on Instagram, and it was a harder one for me because I shared some of the details that I haven't shared with anyone. I keep my private life pretty private, outside of business and, you know, how I'm juggling things. I talk about that all the time. But I shared some details of my life that I've never shared online before. And I just felt like it was a good time. I felt like it was a time to understand that everyone does things the way that they do them because of something that happened in the past that keeps them tied to that keeps them tied to perfectionism, that keeps them tied to the type A personality, that keeps them tied to the anxiety, that keeps them tied. Like, we are all carrying around baggage that keeps us from letting it go and just being who we are created to be. And I'll be honest, since we moved to North Dakota, this is the most free that I have ever felt in my own life. This is the most real I have ever been with people, because I don't feel like someone's waiting to jump out of the shadows and remind me of what my life used to be like, or what happened in the past, or, you know, something that might haunt me later on down the road. At the end of the day, I am who I am because of the things that have happened, because of the things I had to walk through, because of the mental health struggles that I still have. Like, I became a conduit of hope for women who deal with seasonal affective disorder, because it's something that really affects me. I hate wintertime, especially up here, but it's where I live. So what do you do with that? You take it and you make it something that blesses other people, even if you're struggling, even if you feel like, are things ever going to change? They will. They will. You may not notice it because it'll be a gradual change, but I promise, if you will spend the time and the intentionality to do these things, you will see shifts happen. Mountains will move. They look like little molehills, but then it will be mountains. And you will look back and just be like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I overcame that. And you'll get to share your story, which is the most beautiful part of having a vision, is understanding that you're going to get to tell your story along the way. And that story is going to be the key that unlocks things for people. My story has been the key that has unlocked hope and opportunity and empowerment and encouragement in other women. I feel like the gift of speaking is not an idle gift. I feel like it's something to be intentional about. I have a gift of encouragement. I can look at people and I can look at their lives and I can give you a blessing without even really knowing what's happening, because it's a gift and it's just something I do. Strategy is a gift, but it came from a trauma. It came from something that I was overcoming. It came as a result of fear and shame and guilt. I became so calculated. So when we look back, as we reflect and we move into what is this year? What is this next decade? What is this season of life? Look back in gratitude and then move forward in hope and excitement. Be excited about the things that you have the possibility to do this year and to become and to have and to bless other people with. Okay, that's all I have. I'm off my soapbox. Does anyone have any questions before we close out? If so, pop them in the comment box. Let me see what we got here. A donkey, yes. Would have to be. No time is better than now, so go for it. Yes, I love that. Intention and priority, commit. Have a verse, but I haven't gotten the right word to go with it. That's okay. Memories of 2021, self-discovery, love that. Strength building, love it. Love it so much. Well, I just want to thank each of you for being on here tonight. I hope that this was helpful. I will send out an email tomorrow with this recording, and I will pass along the resources that I've talked about as well. You're welcome to use them. If you don't know how to use Canva, shoot me a message back with your pictures. What I do is I think about these things, and I went to Pinterest or I went to just the Google somewhere and type in what you're looking for, and then right click, save on your computer, hold it down, save it on your phone, and then send them to me, and I can put them in a collage for you so that you have them. And it's just a regular piece of paper, but you can print it out, hang it on your wall, and just go from there. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a message. But with that, I will talk to you all later. Many blessings, many blessings. I hope you guys have the most incredible start to a fresh week and a fresh year, with just so much potential and opportunities waiting. Bye, y'all.